he could be the next heavyweight champion.
If I was a betting man, I'd say he probably doesn't fight for a title again.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what fighters do.
Live on the Fight Report.
Different. It's just a totally different world.
They will promote all the fighters and we're working together.
I don't want to do it at 80% or 90%. I want to be 100, 110%.
It's been an honor to have you on the show. Appreciate you being on the show, man. How are you doing? And welcome back.
Oh, dude, no problem. Glad to be on. Things have been going pretty well lately.
Glad to hear it. And Neil Magny, of course, joined us on the Fight Report once again. We appreciate you being on. UFC Welterweight divisions where you have made your mark. And, of course, you're taking on Anthony Rocco Martin at UFC 250. And, of course, coming off a great performance against Jingliang Li at UFC 248 last March and trained at Elevation Fight Team in Colorado. And we appreciate you being on, Neil. Hope all is well with you.
Yeah, no problem, dude. It's a pleasure to be on here.
So I know we got to fight back in March, which I'm sure you're grateful for, with, right before everything, kind of fell apart. So talk about the win over Lee, being out of action for over a year. How did it feel to come in there, perform, and get the win over a game opponent?
Yeah, honestly, it felt great to go in there and get the job done. I mean, more importantly than the performance itself was just the ability to spend some time with the coaches in the gym, working some new skill sets, and then go out there and implement it without any issue at all. Like even the in between rounds 1 and 2, when things weren't necessarily going the greatest, being able to make a simple adjustment, like, I need to do that, and then go in there in the second round and have it change the momentum of the fight completely. That was pretty cool to see. It shows that I actually grew with the coaches that I have now, and their insights making a difference in the fight.
Definitely good performance, and I'm sure a lot of these troubles outside of the cage that had pestered you. That was put to rest, of course, with a great win. Right, moving forward, it got you, to put that in your rearview mirror.
Yeah, absolutely. It was good to put that stuff behind me now and continue moving forward, continuing that climb. I mean, spending a year plus away from the sport is a long time in 5 years. So to be able to get that win and keep the momentum going in 2020, it feels good to do so.
Now, talk about how the pandemic has affected your training and, not only training with your teammates, but change your training camp as well. Obviously it's affecting us all. And, for you guys, I know you're very resilient as MMA fighters, elite athletes. So talk about, how you've been able to overcome that.
Training has been good, things like that. We were not allowed to have the big group practices that we're used to. So we've been focusing more on like small group training with 3 to 4 guys max. But that's given our coaches a lot of time to really get to know us and really see where we're at with our skill sets. So in some weird way, like it has been better through the pandemic, just because it kind of forced you to give us more attention during that time.
Definitely. Look at the UFC welterweight division. It's not only stacked, but many of the marquee names UFC have come to compete here with Masvidal, Usman, Kobe, and by adding, Gregor, Cowboy, Pettis. So how excited are you for that? Many money fights could be made, and so what are your thoughts?
I mean, it's super exciting time for the welterweight right now. There's a lot of eyes in the welterweight division. There's a lot of great talent in the welterweight division. So it definitely gives you a lot of options as a welterweight fighter as far as what's next after this particular fight. So I'm really excited moving forward to see what comes up with the dominant performance over a guy like Tony Martin. So at this point, really, the sky's the limit. I mean, I can fight guys like Anthony Pettis shortly after this fight, can jump right back and mix with those top 5 guys. So it's a really exciting time to be a welterweight right now. And I know a dominant win throws me right back in the mix.
Yeah, when you look at Anthony Rocco Martin, like, what do you see in him as an opponent that makes this a fun fight? A fight that, obviously you can engage him, utilize most of your skills and your training, not that it'd be boring. How do you feel like this is going to be an exciting one?
This is from what the skill set he brings to the table. I mean, he's the kind of fighter that has the ability to win everywhere. I mean, you've seen him get wins via TKO, KO, and submission wins. So, he has the skills to put a fighter away in any of those positions at any particular time. But you also see him have those wars too, where it's kind of a back and forth fight, and it shows just how durable he is as well. So, this kind of fight that makes for an exciting matchup. I mean, I know I'm going to go out there. I have to bring my A game, but to have to go out there and bring my best in order to be successful at him. And he's one of those guys that's going to keep me honest the entire fight. I know if at any point if I tend to slack or let my foot off the gas pedal a little bit, he's able to capitalize on those moments. So it's really going to force me to go out there and fight strictly to my game plan and really implement my will on him.
Definitely. And we look at also your teammate Justin Gaethje. You know, he won the UFC lightweight title, so how proud of you were that? And what did that mean to you personally? You know, obviously, Elevation Fight Team is a big team. You guys are still growing and getting like the national recognition you guys deserve. So bringing the UFC title home for the first time, how did that feel, seeing that happen with your teammate accomplish?
To watch Gaethje accomplish what he accomplished a couple of weeks ago, it was amazing. You got to see the work that he put in over the years in the gym really pay off for him, and it's been super motivating on my end. It's like, man, if we're training with each other day to day, and that's the kind of output, that's the kind of results we can get. Go out there and get it done yourself. Don't wait for the next opportunity. Go out there and create the opportunity. So it's definitely motivating watching Justin Gaethje go out there and dominate in that fight in the way that he did.
Definitely. And also he's got Khabib Nurmagomedov up next, so that's going to be exciting, I'm sure. You know, his training partners are going to keep him prepared and get ready for that, probably for a really wrestling-heavy assault. So how do you feel like he'll be ready for that one?
I feel like it's something that Gaethje's going to be prepared for. I mean, the guy's been wrestling since he was 4 years old. I mean, he's wrestled against some of the best guys in the world. He's one of the only guys to ever stop Jordan Burroughs' double leg. So I don't necessarily expect Khabib to go out there just to dominate with chest wrestling. Gaethje has power in his hands, both hands, at any given moment with any limb. So I feel like he has more ways of winning the fight. And Khabib definitely is the one that has to worry about Justin's striking, Justin's wrestling defense, and Justin's pace.
When do you envision UFC will have the fans again? And does that affect you at all with your performance, not hearing them, you know, after or before the fight? I know during the fight you're usually locked in, you know, you're zoned in, obviously, but any effect you think?
So at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to affect my performance at all. I've been fortunate enough to fight for the Ultimate Fighter 4 times where there was no fans present then. And I feel like I was able to give my all and put on pretty exciting fights then as well. So I don't think it's going to affect me at all not having the fans there, even though I will be pretty bummed out and not be able to hearing the crowd raw and like cheer you on when you're doing things well. So, but at the end of the day, when it comes to performance, I'm going to do just great.
Yeah, you feel like you'll still feel their presence, though, however. You know, you're going to get reactions, of course, afterwards on social media and whatnot, and feel the love and support.
No, for sure. I mean, it means like a lot of times when you're at the venue yourself, I mean, the fans tend to miss certain things like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom, or I got to refill my beer, I got to do this, I got to do that. And so there's a lot of things that get missed in the moment anyway. I feel like the fans being at home watching this on TV, it would be an opportunity where they're just able to be fully present and experience the full fight.
Definitely. And it's great that you have the opportunity, of course, to perform during this time because, you know, no sports are happening. There's, you know, baseball, football, basketball, everything is not happening right now.
Yeah, definitely. This is totally a blessing. I mean, unlike other sports, it's not like we sign $1 million contracts and we're able to go 7 years without competing again. As a fighter, I mean, where it's like the struggling artist. I mean, you need to go fight the fight in order to invest, save, and provide for your family and that kind of thing. So I'm definitely feeling fortunate and blessed to be able to go out there and compete this coming weekend.
And definitely. Also, what do you think of the safety precautions UFC has in place? Luckily, we've only had one fighter in Jacare Souza that has been, tested positive, and they were able to isolate him in time. And even incoming, they were able to ask certain questions and have knowledge of that to isolate him. And so how do you feel about the safety precautions?
I feel like the safety precautions are going very well. I mean, I think what happened with Jacare was actually a great indicator of just how well the safety precautions are going. I mean, had we not have a fighter test positive for COVID at all in the fight week, the question of everyone's head would be like, oh, what if this happens, what if that happens? But the fact that we were able to actually get a fighter who tested positive and the UFC was able to contain it to just those that individual fighter and his individual camp, it just goes to show that the safety measures that are put in place are actually working and they're keeping fighters safe. So I think it's a positive thing moving forward.
And after this fight, when you think you'd like to fight again? I mean, obviously, there's going to be a lot of hurdles, overcoming. Now, UFC doesn't even have their schedule laid out. Would Fight Island be a possibility? Any thoughts about that?
God willing, I want to fight as soon as possible. I mean, I go in there, get the job done, come out uninjured. I'm looking to fight as soon as possible. I mean, I need to make up for lost time, so to speak, and work my way back to the top. So I'm looking to do that as soon as possible.
Definitely. And when people are tuning in, what can they expect from this performance? Anthony Rocco Martin, yourself are true veterans of mixed martial arts. This is going to be such an exciting fight. I feel like, you have a lot to prove. And, it's a big pay-per-view night as well. So what can they expect?
Yeah, I mean, you said it best. It's a huge pay-per-view opportunity. It's the only sport that's on right now for America. So I personally, I feel that pressure. I feel like I have to go out there and perform. I have to go out there and entertain. So I'm going to go out there and do just that. I put on an exciting fight for the fans around the world. And even some new fans that may just be tuning in and see what the UFC is. I'll make sure I make them a true fan, a lifelong fan after this performance.
Excellent. And of course, seems like isolation is used throughout the fight week. And how do you affect that? How do you anticipate that affecting you and your team?
It won't affect me at all. I mean, I have a pretty tight-knit team. So for the most part, when we're on the road traveling with each other, we're kind of with one another all day anyway. So I don't necessarily think this forced isolation is going to be a hurdle or an obstacle in any way for my camp and I. I mean, it's going to be just one more thing to overcome. And I think we'll have a pretty good hold over it.
Yeah, I just learned from Duke Rufus from his video that said that Vegas is not allowing, the Vegas Athletic Commission is not allowing anybody to walk freely outside the hotel. I just wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing that makes it even better. I mean, they're doing their best to protect the fighters. I mean, when you're there, it's literally total isolation. So they'll disclose the location of the hotel, and fans are able to come down and get photos, pictures, things signed, that kind of thing. But going into this fight, it's not the case. It's kind of, hey man, we're here to entertain you guys. Please work with us. Please respect the space, and we'll deliver for you guys on Saturday night.
Definitely. And the Apex, excited for that. Have you had the opportunity to go to the Apex? I know Dana White Tuesday Contender Series, it was home to that. Not many other events, though, besides that. So how much are you anticipating that this will be a fun venue, and just how UFC is utilizing it? It's their at-home base, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for the UFC to be able to use the Apex Center. I mean, they used it in the past for things like the Contender Series and that kind of thing. But after seeing how the Apex Center is set up and seeing how their digital production goes there, I think it's actually a pretty exciting thing. I mean, it's going to look like a regular fight night. I mean, there's going to be the cameras going to be pointed on there. The sound's going to be great. Like, everything's going to line up well for a perfect performance on video and audio for fans at home. So I'm excited to go out there and just give the last piece of the puzzle, which is a great performance.
Definitely. Well, Elevation Fight Team, you guys are on a roll, of course. You'll be up next weekend. Shortly after, you'll have Curtis Blades as well. So it's going to be exciting to follow you guys and see how well you perform.
Yeah, absolutely. This is our time, and we've put in a lot of work the last couple of years, and it's all starting to service itself, and we just got to keep the momentum going at this point.
Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in for the Fight Report. Again, Neil, we appreciate you being on. Everybody check out June 6th, UFC 250 from Las Vegas at the Apex, only on pay-per-view. You're allowed to watch it. And, of course, you take on Anthony Rocco Martin in a great 170-pound contest. And we wish you best of luck, of course, as always, and hopefully have you back on the show to talk about the win and, talk about your next fight.
Absolutely, dude. I'd love to.
All right. Appreciate you, Neil. Stay safe, and looking forward to a good fight from you.
All righty. Take care.